Hello and welcome back to Ikon Coaching. My name is Kirk and I'm one of the coaches here. Today I want to look at a question that is an old question. It's been around forever. It gets asked all the time, but we are asking it in a new way. We have been for about, 40 years or something like that. You can't draw hard lines on these things, but it's simply this. What does it mean to be a leader? The keys to get started. It's a question that is so common. There are thousands of books being written about it. You can get bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, PhDs, and doctoral degrees on this question. It's so common because it's been around forever. As long as humans have organized themselves, we've needed to ask this question because the answer to it, or the way that we approach it, changes over time. And as cultures change, and the change in ours has been quite rapid, we have to re-ask this question. And so lots of leadership studies right now are replaying with the question, what does it mean to be a good leader? Now, I just said it changes with culture. So let me say first off that I believe leadership is always cultural. There's a way in which the culture in which leadership emerges affects the definition of what it means to be a great leader. There's a way in which leadership is always cultural. There's also a way in which leadership has always been the same thing. There's a through line regardless of culture. One of the easiest ways to articulate the through line is you're a leader if there's people following you. But what does it mean to be a leader in today's culture, in the emerging culture, in the place in which we live and lead today? What does that look like? And to answer that question, at least the way I'm holding it right now, let me give you this simple definition. Now, to be clear, I have about 17 definitions or 17 answers to this question, and it's always an emerging, playful thing that we play with. But here's one I've been using for quite a while. We like to say in the emerging economy or in the emerging culture, leadership is the process of creating space so that others can live into their commitments. Leadership is the process of creating space so that others can live into their commitments. Now let's break that down a little bit. First of all, leadership is a process. It's a process that anyone can learn. It's almost like a technology. It's transferable. And that is a direct affront to the notions of the past that leadership was in bloodlines to start with, that literally if you were born into a certain family, you would be the leader. It was in your blood. It was in your DNA. They wouldn't have used that term at the time, but that was the idea. We still have a phrase connected to this. We still use the phrase that, that person is a natural born leader. That used to be bloodlines. Then it moved to this, character traits or attributes. Things about a person that were part of their personality. So not necessarily bloodline, we expanded it to a personality type. And today we say that person is a natural born leader. We don't mean bloodlines anymore, we mean personality. And mostly what people mean when they say that is it's a person with charisma or confidence. And those are helpful in leadership, but they're not mandatory or necessary. Leadership is a process. Anyone can learn it. Anyone can become a great leader. Second part, leadership is the process of creating space. What do we mean by creating space? Simply this. There was a period of time, and it was most time, and it's the past, where leaders actually filled space. They would show up in the room and suck the oxygen out of a room. The room would turn towards them and defer to them. Leaders filled space. They made the decisions. They were in charge. They were responsible and they had the authority and they decided what we were going to do. Leaders got up on a tall mountain and could see a vision of the future. They would come down from the mountain and they would declare, this is what is right. This is where we're going. This is what we should do. And then everybody would fall in line and go do it. In the past, leaders filled space. Today, I think they create it. It's a much more collaborative, cooperative process. It's about curating a space and actually holding that space, defining it, and letting it be this rich environment where decisions can be made, where thinking can be done, where people's various perspectives can contribute at a significant level. Now, that doesn't mean the leader doesn't have voice in the space and probably has a voice of consequence, but deferring to a leader just because they're the leader, or sitting in a meeting with a senior leadership team and the owner of the company is part of that team and everyone contributes, but at the end everybody goes, well, they're the boss, so they can do whatever they want. That's not how we should follow, and that's not how we should lead. Leaders actually curate and hold a space that allows others to contribute at a very significant level. In that way, leaders are no longer in control. We are interdependent, and the contribution of others is increasingly necessary. That's because work has become much more complex. One person cannot hold the vision, the attributes, the perspective, the wisdom necessary to deal with the things that we are working on today in our businesses or in our world. Great leaders create space. So leadership is the process of creating space so that others can live into their commitments. What do I mean by that? Others can live into their commitments. It's this. People show up to that space that leaders have created, and they are invited to fill the space. We all come with our own commitments, our own motivations that drive us, and we want, as leaders, to hold a space, create a space where it is an attractive place for people to come with their commitments, with what they're trying to accomplish in the world and their perspectives. And then they get to live into those commitments in the space that leaders hold. That's how an organization creates what we call synergy, where organizational objectives and individual objectives align. And when that happens, it's almost magic. It's not magic, it's leadership in the modern era. When a space is created where organizational objectives and individual objectives align, we call this self-motivating. It is intrinsically motivating, and people will show up in that space and they will come alive in a way that they just will not when all they're doing is going after organizational objectives. The organization says they want this. I want to get a paycheck, so I'll do that. That kind of motivation is called extrinsic motivation or external motivation. And they're basically punishment and reward systems. A leader's job, a leader's role, leader's highest calling is to create the space where intrinsic motivation can emerge. Because when people are working from that, the quality of the work, the ability to solve complex problems, it just increases. It's a measurable thing that we know now. So, a leader's job in the modern era is a process. Anyone can do it, of creating space, not filling it, so that others can live into their commitments. When this happens, and organizational objectives and individual objectives align, I would say that's an unfair competitive advantage for any organization that can accomplish that. Hey, if you found value in this video and you made it all the way to the end, would you hit subscribe? Let us know that you like it. Let us know that you want us to do more videos like this. Hit that like button. You can even comment below and let me know, what did you learn today? What do you think leadership is? That would be fabulous. Thanks.